Hanging out. We got Libra, June 2020. Yeah, that's how we do. Hanging with. Thanks for joining me. This is Hangin' with Libra, June 2020. The Hangin' with series are pre-recorded videos. Well, I'm doing live, but I record them for the month for each sign, and we go over the astro influences for the month, hang out, do a little chit chat, and then we do a custom tarot reading just for your sign to kind of tune into the vibes, see what's working, see where things are going, see how you're feeling, give you some pointers, and then hopefully we have a more skilled movement through the month, right? So we're not getting caught off guard by weird energies, emotions that get flared up, communication wires that get crossed, and we can move ahead with more clarity and help tune in our spiritual path of refining this inner adversary that we're all learning to work with and make peace with, right? So Libras, you're all about balance. You get this stuff. Looks like the live stream's coming through. Make sure everything's looking good. Oh, there it is. It's happening. Anyway, looking forward to also doing some more live streams soon. I've been doing Street Level Live, which is a live stream where people ask questions and I do tarot readings. It's a lot of fun. People hang out. So like, subscribe, and you'll get a notification next time I go live. It'll be fun. Libra, how are you guys doing? It's a wacky time, obviously. My general message for the world is never get caught up in fear. Don't let fear take over. Don't let it turn you into a negative person, into a hurtful person to other people, a judgmental person. And that all these opportunities that we're having right now are to look in, recognize this aspect of our inner adversary that's angry, right? And hurt and feels violated, and learning how to work that, learning how to find our voice, learning to articulate, learning to have compassion, afford grace to other people, and forgiveness. And we do that for ourselves and for others because we recognize that this path on the planet, there's enough suffering as it is. So we decide to make a choice, right, to afford grace and forgiveness and kindness. And when we're feeling off kilter, we take the time to take care of ourselves, right? And we cultivate a life of goodness, so we're not looking for it outside of ourselves, right? And then we're empowered and we're full of resources to move out into the world with a lot of goodness, right, Libra? You got it. You're all about balance, right? Anyway, this is all about Libra today. We're going to go over the astro weather. And speaking of which, I think I got it. I've been trying to get this down. Speaking of which, it's time to go for the astro weather. Woo! Yeah, okay. All right, anyway, that's my high-end graphics I created for Astro Weather. Drinking a little Divine Grape Kombucha. Not a sponsor, but tasty stuff. I kind of have this like grape color hitting me on the face here. And I've got the grape drink. Grape drink! And I grew up in poor neighborhoods, man. Grape drink was the thing. Grape drink. Anyway, I'm feeling good. Yeah, it's been a tough couple months, obviously with the obvious stuff, but I've been going through a few health issues and just trying to get my energy back up. So feeling a lot better and really excited to be hanging out with you, Libra. Hope you guys are doing good. I have a computer over here, so I tend to look over here. I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't know how to get the cameras set up correctly to where I can look at the camera more, but I do have to read some notes here. Let's get into the astro weather. Interesting month here. Let's check out our astrological chart. This is dated for June 5th, so really the first major aspect of the month is June 5th. We got a full moon in Sagittarius. It's a lunar eclipse coming into eclipse season, right? So this is the biannual period where we've got a handful of eclipses, lunar and solar eclipses, and then we also have it near the end of the year, beginning of the year, right? Now these are doors that open, doors that close. So these are chapters of our lives that are opening and closing. This obviously, this last chapter for the last 6 months has been pretty intense. So hopefully We're moving into some new energy, and I'm starting to get. I'm feeling kind of positive, to be honest with you. I think a lot of stuff's getting worked out. This Uranus and Taurus thing is what I equate to this virus thing, and a lot of these Earth changes going on, and that's going to be sticking around for a number of years. So we'll have transformation in our finances, transformation in the physical world, and then we're also kind of cleaning up and finishing off this whole Capricorn and Pluto thing, which has a lot to do with government and old structures. We're breaking down old structures inside of ourselves. We're being given a whole new opportunity to reinvent society and ourselves, and isn't that a wonderful thing? It's fantastic, right? So anyway, all that said, June 5th, full moon in Sagittarius. The energy here is tune in and get spiritual. Call it in. Time to get real and look at your long-term goals. Take the time to consider other people when designing your future. So, just a great time to kind of you'll have plenty of energy with the Sagittarius full moon, giving you inspiration, giving you insight. Tune into it. It'll literally give you insight. So, meditate, get spiritual. And all that means is listen to your insides, not your intellect or your mind, right? Listen to your feelings, listen to what your soul's calling you to do. With all this reinvention, it's a great opportunity to kind of plan for the future, right? And it's just saying, take the time to consider other people when designing that future, right? June 5th through June 13th, lots of little stuff. Mostly energy, Sun and Gemini energy, which is, really talkative, communicative. Gemini wants to connect and share ideas, right? But it's a little wacky because we got a square with Mars and Pisces, and Mars and Pisces feels real cloudy, not very clear there. And then we have a square with Neptune and Pisces also later on the 11th, and Neptune can also be somewhat of a fantastical or kind of fantasy type energy. And in Pisces, that's very deep spiritual insight. So a little bit of crosswires there possibly, but also could be very powerful because Gemini is such a powerful communicator. It could really represent powerful energy in communicating spiritual ideas, right? Neptune and Pisces, right? Deep, maybe even divine insight, right? So around June 11th, maybe it's a good time to just chill out and kind of listen. Maybe some spontaneous writing, some deep meditation. Who knows what happens? Probably not a good time to be taking a lot of psychedelics, right? It's already going to be trippy as it is. June 18th, we've got Mercury retrograde in Cancer. That puts another planet in retrograde. That would be 4. We already have 3. Energy here is, how can we think clearly when our emotions are at 11? It's going to take focus to see things for what they really are. An opportunity to purify our emotional balance with reality. So, Cancer is all about home, family, love, nurturing, things like that. So we're going to be wanting to communicate about those themes, but when it's in retrograde, we're really reflecting on it. So we're reflecting on home and family. We're reflecting on our nurturing. We're reflecting on how nurturing we are to ourselves and others. But anyway, it's a time to kind of sort out what's emotions versus reality, and that's a theme you'll see kind of generally throughout this month. A couple days later, on June 20th, we have the Sun entering the sign of Cancer. It's Crab Fest at everywhere under the sun. We want to feel at home. We want to feel safe, loved, nurtured, nurturing, and loving. So all themes Cancer will be pervasive in the energy. Happy birthday, Cancers. June 21st, we've got a new moon in Cancer and an annular solar eclipse. The gas pedal is pushed on an already emotional month. We reach its height and we see what we're made of here. It could be a peak moment in this Cancer retrograde cycle, so Mercury retrograde and all the other planets that are retrograde. June 21st, new moons, I'm not a huge fan, to be honest with you. It's kind of this void of energy, and you can kind of feel a little bit lost or just unclear. But it's also a great time to kind of plan, right? It's like things are not happening, right? So when things are not happening, it's a great time to sit down and reflect on where you'd like to direct your energy, right? June 23rd, 2 days later, we have Neptune retrograde in Pisces. That'll make it 5 planets in retrograde. Neptune's going to be retrograde in Pisces until November 29th. Neptune retrograde in Pisces is a pretty interesting energy. Neptune is a very fantastical planet, fantasy worlds, very high spiritual energy. Retrograde in its home sign of Pisces. So, you know, wow. I mean, a lot of deep insight here, right? But we also need to be careful. So the theme here is, let's all meet at Planet Hollywood in the 16th dimension and order me a wake-up call. I'll be there in negative 15 minutes, whatever. All we needed was another retrograde planet. Following the 3 from May and Mercury retrograde in Cancer, we now find the majority of the planets in retrograde position as Neptune joins the party in what the fuck Pisces. Don't believe a damn thing you think, feel, or imagine, or you're sure to mess something up. So, I'm being obviously jestful here, or playful, but just be really careful, because when Neptune is in a retrograde or in negative aspect or challenging aspect, it can also mean possible deceit, or you can not see things for what they really are. We apply this fantasy layer. Oh man, isn't she such a wonderful woman? And all your friends are like, she's batshit crazy, bro. You know, or like, hey, isn't that dude the best? And it's like, no, he's a playa. You know, so. Be careful for deception. Obviously, I mean, relationships, that's one thing. But, you get into business and all that stuff, and it gets really confusing. And this is on top of Mercury already being in retrograde, right? So this is about, like I said, this is a month of really sorting out emotions and fantasy from reality, learning to identify people's value systems so you don't get caught in deception, right? Good news here is towards the end of the month, we got June 25th. Venus is again direct in Gemini. It's been retrograde since May 13th. Some good news is Venus is direct. That is, unless you fell for a trap and now you're regretting that new relationship when you wake up next to Mr. Wrong. So what I mean by that is just simply that during that Venus retrograde cycle, it's really important not to get overextend ourselves in commitments with friendships and relationships, not to get married, not to start a serious relationship, not to make big promises you can't follow through on, because typically the people we're attracted to, or the people that are attracted to us during those cycles, they're not going to feel the same way once it goes direct, right? So once it's going backwards, it's like this, woo, exciting place, but it changes. So you just got to be mindful of that. And it's good for Gemini, because as soon as Venus went into Gemini, it went retrograde the same day. So now Gemini has an opportunity to really appreciate and enjoy Venus being in their sign, which makes them feel more sexy, more happy, more attractive, and generally more excited, which, I mean, if you're a Gemini, you're probably pretty bored, or have been pretty bored. They like to chit-chat, June 28th, Mars finally gets reprieve and leaves the sign of Pisces and comes home to the sign of Aries. So Mars is going to really feel comfortable about doing what it does, which is take action, right? Move forward. It's the ram. It climbs to the top. It sees everything. It takes charge, right? So we've had all these slowdowns in society, but now because of this Gemini energy, you're wanting to really connect again. We're seeing people wanting to open things back up, right? But, with Mars now coming to Aries at the end of June, now you're going to really feel this forward charge for some forward movement, right? Mars goes home and is feeling confident, snug, and happy. It's ready to do shit. It's time to act. Just make sure you're not doing stuff while your mind is an egg in a frying pan about, all these crazy, wacky planets right now. Be wise, be nimble, see things for what they are. Don't be deluded, and move forward with confidence. No room for emo Joe and his feelings about what is what. And that's that Mercury Cancer, Mercury retrograde energy. We're gonna have to move forward, so we'll just have to do it with mindfulness, right? Okay, at the end of the month, June 30th, we got an interesting combination of planets here. We got retrograde Jupiter conjunct retrograde Pluto in Capricorn. So this is kind of a reprieve of this energy that we saw all last year. Pluto in Capricorn, then Jupiter came right through. So this will be kind of a revisit, I think, of the energy that we saw end of last year, beginning of this year. The Pluto and Capricorn thing is much to do with society, government structures. Probably see more stuff come up in government. Some revisits of, conflicts between boomers and millennials in politics, and, hey, as far as I'm concerned, everyone can just bite each other's heads off and Leave the rest of us here. In the Kabbalion, they teach that all extremes meet. So, you know, you have all these people saying that they're all different from each other, but they're always yelling at each other. Same lesson, kids. It's not hard to learn. Stop yelling at each other. Well, apparently your theme is purple grapes today. That is the Astro weather for the month of June 2020. That's what's going on. So again, just a lot of fantasy, crossed wires, stuff like that. It's a great time to kind of really stay focused on your own inner truth and kind of sort out and plan for the future, not necessarily, not a great time to make a bunch of commitments, right? So anyway, that is your Astro weather for the month of June 2020. Let's get into a tarot reading. What do you guys think about that? I'll do some basic. Well, it's kind of, is that kind of bright? I guess yeah, I've been kind of playing with my setup here. I guess I lined it up too much, or maybe it's this light above here. I don't know what's going on here. Is that better? That's better. Anyway, get your tarot reading. What I usually do with tarot readings is at least for these general ones, is we'll just get a general kind of theme, and I'll tell you the archetypes. You know, tarot is the hero's journey. It's the story of the soul. And when the soul's here, it goes from the fool, right, which is somebody who doesn't really understand the material world, all the way to the world, which is somebody who understands the world, and needs some renewal then at that point, because when you don't know everything, it's sure not very fun, is it? So that's when we choose to transform the energy, come back, and go on some more adventures if you like. Or maybe you don't want to. Who knows? Let's tune in to the energy for Libra for the month of June 2020. Sending out lots of love to Libra. You guys are doing good out there. What's news in your life? A lot of people are kind of transitioning jobs and priorities and all this stuff, and it's cool, man. I think it's cool. I think it'll be really interesting to see where we all are next summer, right? Where everyone lands. Let's tune in here. Oh, we got a popper. So, since we had a popper, we'll go ahead and let that be your first card. Hangin with. Oh, there's your popper here. So there's your buddy. Let's see what goes on there. Nature of the reading. Now let's go ahead and see what's around it. What's influencing it? What the spiritual realms have to say about it? The recent past has to say about it. What your subconscious motivation is. What's coming up in the near future? Well, you got some forward movement coming. That's good. Your attitude in this situation, your creating foundation, your environment, you're looking for the resources to move forward, and considering new options. Now, with all that said, let's go ahead and see what the nature of your reading is here. Ace of Wands in reverse. So let's tune in here a little bit. Take some time to look at your cards. Ace of Wands in reverse. Ace of Wands in reverse is some feeling of delays, feeling weighed down. You're just kind of like feeling a little, like a bit of a rut. You don't have the resources or the energy to move forward. So typically what that means is that there's something to be looked at, something to be transformed, something that needs to be addressed, or something that you're working through. And it's okay. It's just time to be patient. Now let's see what's influencing this. You got another wand here. So this is about material resources and vitality and energy, right? So some people might be feeling a little bit low energy. It's a great time to take care of yourself, do some cleanses, flush your body out a little bit. Drink a little water, lemon water in the morning, right? Let your liver cleanse, let your colon cleanse, and not really eat until you feel that clarity and movement. A good time to just purify and clear out in general. So time to put away all the junky junk and clean it up. Nine of Wands. There's some sort of let's see. I mean, it's yeah. I would say that Knight of Wands is kind of maybe an overextension a little bit, right? So here's this guy. He's super excited. He's fiery, right? And he's moving out into the world, and he's got his resources, and he's doing things, right? So if you're feeling a little burnout, and this is it's influencing it, it's probably that maybe you've pushed yourself too much there out there in the world, and you're having an opportunity to now kind of go within, reflect a little bit, which is great. For other people, this might actually be a relationship dynamic, right? So the wands typically can be somewhat phallic, right? So if someone's wand's upside down, they're not really feeling the excitement, but somebody else is, right? So there's can be a conflict of a relationship of somebody feeling attracted to someone while someone doesn't, right? So that's another situation. So depending on your situation, you can tie that together yourself. Coming in at the top of the reading, we've got your higher consciousness or spiritual realm card, and this is the angel wisdom. This is the totem that's going to help you move forward. So throughout the month of June, if you just keep this message in mind, then you can help kind of lubricate the situation, move forward, right? So we've got the Six of Swords here. Six of Swords is a journey, right? You see these people crossing the water here, right? So this is, some sort of transition or rite of passage. And like I said here, you might be kind of collecting your vital energy again to move forward. You may have exhausted yourself. So this is a rite of passage. This is some sort of mental journey between two landforms. See, they left a landform and a landmass, and they're crossing the water to another landmass. And there's a little bit of solemnness to it, right? So and the swords represent the mind, right? So this is a journey of the mind, right? So you're going through some sort of rite of passage, some sort of situation that's asking you to integrate a higher level of the reality of the material realms that we're in here, right? And so often what it does is it can challenge us mentally because we're not used to this new energy, correct? This new situation, So for some people it might be a health situation, for some people it might be a breakup, for some people it might be just getting a little bit older and recognizing that there's different levels of responsibilities and how we transform as we get older and how we transform as we go through life, right? We're not always the same. We hit different ages, and different ages bring about different wisdoms, right? So, we have, around 16, 17 years old, our heart starts to open a little bit. We get in touch with our feelings, right? And we got, around 21, we kind of start tuning into adulthood much more. 27, 28, 29, we got our Saturn return. That's a rough time where if we are off our path, our spiritual path, Saturn realigns us and holds us accountable for our behaviors and asks us to be more responsible with honoring our path, right? So then you get into, there's something kind of more in your mid-30s, but right around 40 is when your full psychic faculties are developed, right? And your knowing comes into place, so... And it's a tough time because if you've really ignored yourself, right? If you've really created addictions, if you've created escape mechanisms, if you've created all these patterns, and we start to slow down there as we come into midlife and our knowing opens up, we can see things and know things about ourselves and our limitations that can feel very challenging to overcome, right? And as the youth passes, it's important that we set our sails in a new direction, right? Not try to keep reliving our youth, but transform into applying that wisdom into a higher expression, right? So anyway, your totem here is this temporary journey of the mind. You're not on stable land, and it's okay. It's a process, it's a time, and if we can really just learn to feel comfortable in our skin and slowly do the little things to take care of ourselves, we can do this. We can transition and move through this very gracefully, right? King of Cups in reverse. This is, in the upright position, this is somebody who is very in touch with their inner truth and their inner knowing, right? He's got his foot in the water. He is very clear with his emotions. He's the master of his emotions, right? It's the masculine energy being the master of his emotions, right? So when the King of Cups is upside down, this is someone who's not being very responsible with their emotions. There's more manipulation or moodiness or volatility. And so in your recent past, there's like those kinds of themes or have been around. I don't know if it's you or someone around you. But again, manipulation, volatility, emotional conflict. And so I kind of feel like you're moving away from that, and you're on a journey now to kind of redefine how you place yourself in life. So you're not into that. You're no longer kind of playing into those types of feelings anymore, whether it's other people or yourself. Now, subconsciously, this is the card that's what's motivating you subconsciously, and it's the Seven of Cups. Seven of Cups is, there's all these cups, and you can kind of pick out of the cups, but you don't know what you're going to get. It's like a grab bag, right? So sometimes we imagine things to be something that they're not, and we reach out for something, and we think it's good, but it ends up being like a snake that bites us, right? Or some sort of delusion or fantasy, right? So what's motivating this movement forward is moving away from this feeling of fantasy in your lives, right? And maybe you've gotten by with wishful thinking. Maybe you've gotten by with creating these ideas and structures in your life that that sounded good or looked good, when you thought about it. But now that you're older and now that you're more wise, you're recognizing that maybe those were just kind of crutches. And now moving more into an honest reality of what's truly happening here can be kind of difficult. And that's what we're seeing here with this transition. So you're moving away from fantasy because you're recognizing that as much as that benefited you in the past, it really doesn't benefit you moving forward. Oh, we got a visitor. We got Priscilla. Hey, Priscilla, how are you? I'm doing my monthly readings for each sign. So right now I'm doing Libra, but I'll be back doing Street Level Live, the live readings shortly. But how are you doing today? Thanks for stopping by. Moving into the future, Libra, we've got the Hangman. And it's kind of like this card here. It's slowing down and taking time to reflect on things, right? Things are not moving forward very quickly. It's a time of reflection. Now, this is your attitude in this situation, which is really wonderful. You want to create a real solid foundation and a solid structure of resources. Resources being your emotional resources, resources being monetary resources. It's what you have to give. You really want to create some real value with who you are as a person, right? I'm doing really good, Priscilla. I was just feeling a lot better today than I felt in a while. So thank you for asking. Let's see, your environment around you, not a lot of resources, not a lot of inspiration around you. And maybe that's kind of just giving you an opportunity to really see something, right? When it's really dark, the tiniest light's really bright, so to say, right? Contrast can be a great tool. Greatest hopes and greatest fears is that you're not going to be able to find your emotional balance again. That you've had the courage to move into these new journeys and these initiations and in a maturity, and that you're concerned that you'll never be able to kind of get grounded again or find your center again, that it's a little overwhelming. And you don't need to be concerned about that. These are all natural processes. And this is a process of surrendering, right? So any initiation in our lives, especially as we get older, it's about letting go. It's a natural part of the life process, and finding the beauty in that, finding the beauty in watching yourself let go of your attachments and move into a higher place of wisdom is really powerful, right? So outcome, you got the Three of Wands. This is somebody who's getting really in touch with their vital resources. See, he's got 3 wands there, and he's looking across the land, and he's kind of reflecting on where he's going to move next, right? So I really feel like this reading for you, Libra, is more so of a reminder that as we go through transitions and these initiations, that everything's okay. That we don't need to panic and worry that we'll never find our way again, so to say, right? These are just, just like the higher arcana of the Tarot, these are just natural steps that the soul goes through as we progress. And it means sometimes being somebody that we've never been before, or letting go of things that we never had to let go of before. But within that, there's always a silver lining. There's always some sort of beauty, that helps, right? So anyway, Oh, that's your tarot reading for the month of June, Libra. Hang in there. You know, we all have these initiations at different times, and we all have opportunities to grow, you know, and sometimes we have to let things go, but what's nice about it is that when things come back in, it's that much more exciting, and we have fresh energy. It's just the natural process of life. So, Libra, I'm sending you lots of love for June 2020, and I hope you guys come back, and I will see you in July.